more glitches. Yay! No, hello, everyone, and welcome to the newest episode of Technically Trek. I am your host, Dave Prime, Fleet Commander. Over in the middle there is Captain Katie, and off to her left is Lieutenant Strasberg. And saying, so how are you two doing today?
Tired, but alive.
I live in what San Diego might consider a desert here in Ramona, California. And over the weekend, it was triple digits. Monday, it was in the high 90s. And today, it was in the low 90s. So I've got my air conditioner, I've got my fan, and the cat actually took off its fur coat. That's how hot it is.
Yeah, here in the Springs, it's been kind of toasty. Doing my main job, driving to lift passengers, it did hit over 100 at one point. So I'm like, oh boy! But it's like it's 81 out in the deck, but it's 89 in my bedroom right now. So
It is currently here. Just a minute. It is. Why is that? Is not. I'll give you not available. It is currently 60 degrees here.
I would like that.
It is. That's like 16 Celsius, and it's that warm. Like just gone 2 a.m. and I'm dying. I am absolutely dying. This is like my worst time of year. Roll on winter, roll on the snowstorms. You know, I say snowstorms. We're looking to get bloody snow here, like apart from this much, and then it melts instantly. But now I'm hoping that'll be a little bit cooler in here than in my rooms. So.
Well, I mean, you're dressed in so many layers, Katie. You should probably start taking some of that off so that you won't be so hot.
Well,
you know, I'm the one. No, please don't. I'm the one dressed in layers, though, because I've got this shirt, I've got my T-shirt, and
oh God, no wonder I'm having a hot flash.
Yeah.
I usually wear a T-shirt, but I'm nothing underneath the button up today, so.
Oh, you're free.
I mean, I'm just so look.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I feel sorry for those on Voyager wearing those uniforms. I die in them.
By the way,
an air conditioner in the suit.
Those Voyager uniforms are wool. Can you believe that? Oh, actually, the Star Trek universe. You know, what were they called? The monster maroons, which were used in the movies, were wool, and a lot of the Star Trek uniforms are wool. And so think of, filming with long sleeve wool under hot studio lights. Geez.
Yeah, I'd die. I really would. I feel sorry for the Borg.
Thank God my Coast Guard uniform is a poly blend.
Yeah, but no, working in those plastic suits at 39.2 degrees Celsius are just like, oy. No wonder why they're sweating. No wonder why the Borg are sweating profusely.
I know.
But speaking of the Borg,
I don't know how to do it. It's off to the actors,
If only we knew somebody who ever played a Borg on Star Trek, we could ask them.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Nobody comes to mind. I'm not that connected.
Well, he was only wearing half a suit in that first episode, so he was.
Well, there's some story behind that too. But anyway.
Oh yeah. I was.
Hello.
But yeah, speaking of, we're going to be talking about the Voyager finale episode, Endgame. Everyone that had a chance to watch it, and as I always say, as I've gotten to know Manu a bit more, he got done dirty for that episode. I mean, Neelix had a longer part in that episode than Egypt did.
I actually think that, he did get done dirty in that. I did love the scene that he was in. However, I do think that even if they wanted to have his involvement in that episode short, they should have done at least one more scene with him, one specific scene that would have confused the hell out of fans watching it for the first time, but would have made complete sense at the end.
What scene's that?
They should have had a scene where he was called to sick bay.
Hmm.
And then, like, just a call, calling him through to sick bay. And then, like, shift scene and him agreeing. Just agreeing. Because guaranteed that pathogen came from Icheb's DNA. That
Yeah.
You know, that's the only way they could have got a hold on something so quickly to bring chaos to order. That's exactly what the neurolytic pathogen that he was bred for. That's exactly what it was meant to do. To disrupt the collective, to bring chaos to order, and ultimately destroy the Borg. So they missed out on a very big opportunity with that. And I've always, and like this goes like right back to when I was younger and I saw this. Although, you know, I was very late on watching Trek. I mean, I didn't discover Next Gen until I was 13, but you know, I think I was about 15 when I eventually saw Voyager. And once I'd see, like, when I first ever saw Endgame, to anybody that liked Trek, which was very few people in my circle, but anybody who'd seen it, I told them there and then that they missed out on a perfect opportunity, and they did not get it, that the pathogen would have come from Icheb.
Right.
I didn't even think of that.
I was just thinking, how could, because I would like to see Icheb back in Star Trek, right? But he's dead.
Yeah.
But he's dead. So how could we bring him back? I'm turned toward Star Trek Lower Decks. How could he come back? Lower Decks explains how he could come back. Did you know that? Watch this.
Why do you keep saying Voyager? That's how I call Voyager at the same time. It doesn't. This is on a handshake tour telling boy stories for a while. I heard Shaq talking about it. It's a fucking he's back from the dead. And Bridge Crew always come back. Right, but how? Lower Decks. We don't need to know everything Bridge Crew does. He saved my life. You know, they don't like it when people ask how he came back. It's probably just in the transport matter boat thing. Yeah, or a restored Contra, or Universe Switcheroo, or the port rebuilt in. Or you could be a future son from an alternate timeline, or maybe you got a Genesis device, or a time ribbon. Or you was trapped in the Nexus, time ribbon, the same thing. Point is, this stuff always happens, even on Voyager. That does actually save a ton of time. I'm an engineer. Solving impossible problems is what I do.
So, you know, they're talking about Voyager, and they're talking about how people come back to life. And they just laid out 10 possibilities of how, you know, in this case, I think it was Jax that came back to life. And, you know, he doesn't know how he came back to life because he died in that episode. But they point out, yeah, hey, there's a million ways in Star Trek, you know, these people come back to life. Specifically, that's the episode with Tom Paris, specifically talking about Voyager. I think Icheb could come back if the writers and Paramount wanted it. He could come back.
And now we just got to find a new platform for Lower Decks to continue it so we can see that happen.
Maybe he could be back on Lower Decks. He would only be a cartoon, but they could correct the whole penis issue. Long story. Anyway, yeah, it would be great.
As long as I've got a sample of, like, obviously in the Star Trek universe, as long as I've got a sample of Icheb's DNA, they could clone him.
He could be a clone. He could be, well, if he was a clone, though, they would only clone the DNA, and therefore he would have no bioimplants. He would just be humanoid because he's not human. He's, what is he, Bernali? What is his race?
Yeah, Bernali.
Bernali. So he would just be pure Bernali. Possibly because his DNA was modified to kill the Borg, he might be modified Bernali, but he would be Bernali minus the Borg implants. But I kind of like Borg Icheb. I don't know. You know, I'm willing to negotiate with Paramount. My phone number is 619-25. You can call me directly, and we'll talk about it. I'll get you.
Yeah, but let's see. It was brought up just a little bit ago on Twitter/X. It's like, who are the worst parents, Annika's or Icheb's?
Well, Annika's parents didn't purposely. Yeah, Annika's parents didn't purposely try to get her assimilated, right? They thought they were maintaining safety standards, and they clearly cared about her. Icheb's parents knew exactly what they were doing. They designed him to be assimilated. They built him as a weapon. I would have to say Icheb's.
Yeah, definitely. They had no regard for his future at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. Erin and Magnus, that they were obsessed. They were, and they shouldn't have taken their 4-year-old daughter with them. You know, not on such a dangerous adventure. You know, and it may have seemed all fun at first, but they were more misguided and naive. Whereas I can't remember his mother's name, but Lucan, his dad, Icheb's dad, I think he was, especially when they got Icheb back in Child's Play, I think he was softening a little bit, and it was his mother who was really driving it. But he was created for one purpose, like you said, Tyson, and regardless of how much of a happy childhood Icheb might have had, they knew he didn't have a future. And you know, I'm sorry, but that makes them much worse parents than Sevens.
I agree. A parent's job is to raise, nurture, protect, and you know, hopefully, you know, want their child to have a future. While Seven's parents may have been negligent, for sure, Icheb was purposefully designed as a weapon, and their intention was to put him in harm's way, purposefully. I think that's where the delineation is for me.
And I say, like, Left Witch is in the house. What's up? He can't join the stream here, but he's here.
I'm sorry. I'm drinking Coors, and it should be Bud Light for the what's up. So, my apologies.
Are you betraying Coors Light? How rude.
Well, you know, the what's up. That was a Bud Light commercial. So,
yeah,
you know.
Oh,
and I'm drinking Colorado beer. Can you imagine Colorado? What it must be like for those people that live in Colorado. I feel so sorry. Oh, Dave, I'm sorry.
but I mean, I do have this though.
By the way, did you vote today? Because today was voting day in Colorado.
Yeah, I haven't registered to vote yet. I'm bad. I was bad about that.
You missed your state's primaries. They were today.
Yeah, but look, I got my 1-month chip on Friday.
I'm so proud of you, sweetheart.
Like I said, the big test is going to be my reunion in 6 weeks. Oh boy.
That is really something to be proud of. I say that after having 6 Coors Lights tonight, but I mean it. You know, that's, you know, I tease, I joke, and Mono does too. But like I'm trying to quit smoking. I haven't been successful, but I'm trying. You know, anything that's addictive that you can get yourself to not do anymore is, you know, every single day is a triumph, right? Today you didn't drink, it was a triumph. Tomorrow is a triumph. Each day is a triumph. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
But But yeah, doing some research on the episode Endgame. I don't know if some of you noticed it, like the scene when Janeway visits Tuvok in the future when he's in the hospital. As she's leaving the quarters, you can hear Dr. Pulaski being paged. So
Wait, when? Where? What? What?
early in the episode when Janeway is going to see Karath and get that whatchamacallit to go into the past. As she's leaving, says goodbye to Tuvok, leaves a picture of the fifth season crew photo, and when she walks out the door, you can hear like the nurses like Dr. Pulaski. Bah, 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 bah.
Okay. So time out there for a second. Pulaski was 1988, so
Yeah,
season
88,
two,
89.
right? Season 2 of Star Trek Next Gen,
Mhm.
and in that timeline, the elder Janeway, how many years will have passed? 20, 30?
Well, saying it was 34 years after 2177, 80. So it'd be early 25th century, like 20, 2402, 2403 maybe.
So how old would Pulaski be?
She'd be old.
100?
But
I
well,
mean,
remember McCoy was 137 in the first
but
episode.
yeah, I don't think he was practicing though. Right? I don't. If you saw him walking through the halls barely, I don't think he was performing heart surgery. So Pulaski being paged. I mean, it could be if Pulaski had, a
Child.
daughter or a son or something. Yeah, maybe. But I think Pulaski at that age might not be doing surgery. Like, why would you be paging Dr. Pulaski?
Who
I
knows?
don't know. It's just now if
It
it
could
was
be a relative, it could be
yeah.
a child, I mean, we don't really know anything about Dr. Pulaski, so she may have had younger brothers or sisters, nieces, nephews with the same last name.
Right.
I gotta love that autocarrot.
Definitely.
Yeah, tickets. She meant to say Tyson quitters never win. I like the other one. Nobody likes a quitter. Anyway, but back to the episode at hand. I loved Endgame. I thought it was witty. A lot of this is technically Trek, so I'm going to bring up a lot of technically. Apparently, whatever device she got that she put on her shuttle wasn't just able to go back in time, but it was able to place her in a different part of the galaxy, right?
Mhm.
Otherwise that shuttle, it would take 78 years to get to, where Voyager was. Well, actually, they made it quite a distance by that point, so maybe 48 years or whatever. But she went there instantaneously. At what point, forget the time travel, at what point were they able to bridge such distances in Janeway's future?
Well, all you need to look at is relativity. That they obviously have the technology by then to be able to jump between different times and also different locations in different times as well. So, it.
Right.
I mean, what does she call it? A chrono deflector.
I think so, yeah. But
So,
look who's joined us. We got to give him a what's up.
Hey,
What's
Chris.
up?
How's everyone doing tonight?
Pretty
Doing good,
good.
man.
Are
How about
you
you?
you about to frisk somebody? What's going on with the gloves?
Oh no, the palms of my hands and feet. It's gotten so bad. I have an appointment at 10:30 tomorrow morning with a dermatologist,
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah,
got.
if you don't know anything about eczema, Katie saw my foot, and she'll tell you you don't
Oh
want
yeah,
to see my feet.
I
Yeah,
have eczema. I don't know if it's visible here, but I've got like if you it feels like sandpaper and this red patchy. My mom had horrible eczema, like prescription.
Ugh.
Okay, yeah, that's what my mom had, like that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's not fun, and it's pretty goddamn painful. But hey, that's life.
totally sexy. I'm talking down my boner right now. I love it.
Hey,
Ooh, okay,
good thing
let's
you never
change
get
gears.
eczema on your dick. Because if you got eczema on your dick, man, that would be bad. That would be really bad. I couldn't imagine.
I think that's what he was kind of alluding to there, Chris. I'm not sure, but
I'm just imagining Chris going, ow, giggity, ow, giggity, ow, giggity.
All right, going painful tonight.
Oh my God. Andrew Dice Clay. It's kind of like masturbating with the cheese grater. Slightly amusing, but mostly painful.
Oh my god, dude! Oh my god, dude! If I did have eczema break out on my dick, I'd go down to the strip club and be like, "Hey, who wants to see this?" And
well,
one
that'll
chick would
clear
be
out the
like,
place in a hurry.
"Wow, that's new."
For those of you just joining us, this particular episode is rated R.
No, but yeah, back to the episode. An interesting note that Dwight Schultz had more appearances guest starring on Voyager than on Next Generation.
Yeah.
He was in a total of 6 episodes of Voyager, and he was only in 5 of Next Gen, not counting First Contact. So
Right.
otherwise, it's like equal.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty cool dude. He was also 18.
Yeah, Alan Mad Murdoch.
I love Lieutenant Barclay.
Hmm.
He always brightens my day when he's in an episode. It makes my day so much brighter. He is lovely.
He played a pretty decent part in this episode too. Again,
By the way,
more than
Katie,
Monty.
somebody here wants to say hi. I'll just point the camera there.
Oh,
Look, Kelly!
well,
Buddy, no,
I think he actually waved.
no. I still want to snuggle that pug.
She's trying to be cute.
Yeah, it's probably hot too,
Photogenic.
so it's just like I'm just gonna chill.
How does a cat try and be cute? Cats are already cute. I mean, they can just do whatever.
It sucks that they are. Oh, and she's rolling over and stretching, and rubbing her little face.
Oh, so she's being. Oh, she wants you to rub her belly.
Look at that. Then she meows. Cute. All right, you can be Spot Junior. All right.
That's good. That was good.
I love how old Janeway, Admiral Janeway, and Captain Janeway. I don't understand how when she first popped on the view screen, how Captain Janeway didn't instantly be like, "Oh my God, you're me." Maybe older, but you're me. Like they talked, beamed over, and it was like 10 minutes later. So you're Janeway? It's like, you didn't get that from like the first second you saw me?
Yeah.
I mean, that to me was a little.
Yeah, she didn't have to say it. The look on her face was, just as soon as Admiral Janeway popped up on the screen, the captain was just like, you could almost see the speech bubble above her head, like, holy shit, what have I done now? That was the look on her face. It was almost like she was thinking that. And then secondary to that was, oh my God, I'm looking at a future me. But initially, it was something that the look on her face was something to the effect of, holy crap, what have I done now?
Well, and then she argues with herself as if the older self hadn't been the younger self and already knew the younger self's position. But I think the younger captain should have conceded to the older admiral, because it's like, okay, you know everything I know, plus you know 30 years more. So you have insider information. I should maybe heed what you're saying. And instead, she treated her with such skepticism. Now, maybe confirming her identity, making sure she's really from the future and that's really her and not an alien in disguise. I get all that. But once she knew who she was and it was legitimized, I would have maybe given her a little more.
I have to disagree. I have to disagree. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know if this is just a mental health thing or if it is just a normal, regular, I don't like that word, normal, but just a regular human thing. But I regularly have arguments with myself inside my head. My inner monologue literally argues with itself. And sometimes I even argue with myself out loud. I will be doing chores or write in my blog or write in my book, and I will be arguing with myself out loud. And it's like I'm having a conversation with myself, and there's like this part of myself that's real logical and calm and to the point. And then there's like another one of me that's very similar to the admiral, one of me that's very similar to the captain. But I understand all of those arguments that were happening between them, because Janeway would herself, as a captain, have had those exact arguments. When they discovered Borg in that nebula, when she realized that it was a transwarp hub, she would have been having those arguments with herself, let alone the admiral. So I completely understand that. And regardless of whether the admiral was more seasoned or, more experienced,
I get that, but there was no deference paid to the fact that the admiral might have knowledge of future events, right? I mean, that, I have arguments with myself too. I also have that inner monologue, and nobody likes to argue better than I do. But I'm always arguing with myself contemporaneously, right? Tyson of 2024 is arguing with Tyson of 2024. If Tyson of 2050 were to appear and tell me, something futuristic, I might, give that a little more credence than just me arguing with myself contemporaneously, because that Tyson may have insider information, knowledge of future events, and I don't yet know. So now that said, I'm glad it worked out the way it did, because they had their cake and they ate it too, which was the plan, right?
Yeah, I just saw some middle-aged giggity walk into the hotel. All right.
But did that not create a time paradox? Because old Janeway went to save young Janeway. If young Janeway got home with the crew, then she never became old Janeway to go back in time. Like, there's also that temporal paradox, which gives her a headache and me too.
It is a temporal paradox, but this is getting all into alternate realities and things like that. I don't like to mention it, and I can't believe that I'm the first one to mention it, but TOS. I know, bad me, naughty cat. But there was that timeline. The timeline that is canon to us, and that led to Picard, Cisco, Janeway. That is the timeline. But Ambassador Spock made a boo-boo. and Ian, well, not made a boo-boo, but things kind of went wrong, and he got pulled back in time, which created the Kelvin timeline.
Right.
You know, so and then you've
Mm.
got the mirror universe, and you know it. So that timeline that Admiral Janeway was from, that could have still played out in an alternate reality.
Dave, I want to make sure I understand what was this? Are we?
No, like Chris, remember YouTube doesn't like cigarettes. I don't want to get.
Oh
get
no!
Yeah.
What? Why doesn't
Vapor-
YouTube like
vapor-
cigarettes, man?
I don't know. Like,
Oh, so I
vapor
can smoke
vapor
weed,
cigarettes
just not cigarettes. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
I have
yeah.
something for YouTube. There's some booty. So, I don't know.
Well,
I
see, that was
put a
just
thing
some,
up there
that
just
was
like
just some
"Chris,
weed
cigarettes,
that I thought.
no.
Booty, kitty booty. All right.
Yeah, apparently, you can't vape neither.
Oh, but I can puff them. Oh, I can get faded.
What you can do is like whenever you're about to take a puff, you can like stop cam, have a puff, and then come back on cam, keeping yourself on. I think that's allowed. I somebody has to complain for them to pull it, but anyway.
I'm still pretty new at
fucking
things, I
YouTube.
might be able to get away with it.
Shit.
But
We're gonna wait.
it's quiet, Kelly. I thought it was brilliant the way it was done with the virus that she. See, here's the thing. Ichib was supposedly developed to be a virus that destroys the Borg. Janeway in Endgame purposely contracted a virus that would hurt the Borg. Was it nanoprobes? Was it part of Ichib's virus? Like, how did that work?
It was something
was
like that. I haven't seen
Yeah.
Endgame in a long time, but yeah,
It was
yeah, and they did
DNA
do
was
Ichib wrong.
but he was genetically engineered to create the pathogen so that when the bug assimilated him, it would get into the collective. Now that
Right.
pathogen had to come from Icheb's DNA. So basically, what the doctor would have done, he'd have took a DNA sample and reverse engineered it. Well, not reverse engineered
Icheb was
but-
basically a bioengineered weapon.
Right.
Yeah, but that pathogen would have to have been extracted from his DNA. So the doctor would have had to have done that to make it safe to be injected into the animal.
I don't know if he'd make it safe because once you have it, now you have a pathogen that can fuck with the Borg.
Right. Oh,
Just saying. Just saying.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
That's where I'd
Sorry.
go with it.
Yeah.
You gotta pee.
Speaking about going with things, I know they kind of teased it like someone watching over me. I think was the name of the episode when Seven was dating a holographic Chakotay. Then just out of the blue, it's like bam, they're dating. Like what the heck? It's just kind of like with Troy and Worf all over again. Just that they had those like inklings and like bam, they went on that little moonlight stimulating walk in the holodeck. And
Okay, so it was 7 of 9 in Chakotay.
yeah,
I never liked their relationship. I think it was very forced. I think that they were trying to humanize 7 of 9.
I think they were trying to giggity.
In a very wrong way. That there were better ways of her to explore her humanity. Now, fair enough. The majority. I mean, I'm not one of these people. Friendship connections are the most I will go with because relationships suck. But a natural human thing is to develop connections with people. And she obviously,
Not me. I want to live on an island alone
I mean, I
from
don't
everybody.
know, but it just seemed very forced. And I think, I mean, they were never all that close, really. It was always Seven and Janeway, and then Seven and the Doctor, and then Seven and Icheb. Chakotay never really came into the equation in anything. I mean, the only time that there was really ever any form of, I would say, connection between them is, I can't remember the name of the episode, but when they got stranded on that planet within that force field with the native community, that was the most close, that was the whole closeness that they had, and yeah, fair enough that they did come to more of a understanding and developed a bit more of a friendship after that, but it still seemed very forced to me, and yeah, I didn't like it.
One up right now. Natural Law.
Natural Law, that's it.
Oh,
But
is that the episode?
that was the only time you ever really saw them like alone together, I think. And but it was just, I don't know. Like I said, I just think it was quite forced. I don't think that it should have happened. I mean, it was lovely to see that Seven was, coming out of herself a little bit more. It really was. And I'm so glad that for her that the doctor was able to do that procedure, especially just in one surgery. But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please go on.
I don't know. Somebody else talk because I'm just rambling.
Yeah, same. But did anyone catch the reporter at the beginning of the episode after they're saying it's the 10th anniversary of Voyager's return, blah 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 blah, corruption charges? And then Janeway quickly turns the TV off and say who was facing corruption charges. Did anyone catch that or any ideas?
The
Probably
very
some
beginning of Endgame, like the first 30 seconds. Am I correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
So
been
Janeway
years since I've
facing it?
seen Endgame, but yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to.
Did you catch it? Anything added to that, Katie?
I mean, I obviously I heard that like corruption charges, but
I'll be right back.
It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. But no, that has always intrigued me as to who was facing corruption charges.
Dave, Molly, do you have any ideas? See if she.
But I don't have many notes for this episode. I really don't. I mean, I know it so well, but I do have some, very messy notes. But they're all from like way later on in the episode. Although I must say I do like the future uniforms, and I love that long coat that Janeway wears at Chakotay's grave. Now
Yeah, that's
that's
pretty cool.
beautiful. I would wear that. That really was beautiful, and it really suited her. But
I want to know. I want to know how long Barclay's been teaching it at the academy because it took 10 years for Janeway to come be a guest lecturer on the Borg.
Um, honestly, I don't think it would have taken him long. I mean, once Pathfinder was done, it would have opened up so many opportunities for him, and people would have started taking him a lot more seriously. Yes, he is eccentric, and I mean, the episode, I think it's called Pathfinder. He had to go to. No, all right, fair enough. There's his hollow addiction and that, but
Mm-hmm.
he had to go to such extremes to be listened to, and I don't think people would have underestimated him again after that. I think that would have opened up many opportunities, and I think that he would have progressed pretty quickly. And I actually think he was already teaching at the academy by the time Voyager got home.
Hmm.
Admiral Janeway's time, of course.
Yeah.
But I understand why it would take so long for Janeway to teach at the academy. Because I mean, obviously, she'd have wanted to. She wouldn't have wanted to have. She'd have wanted some time to decompress after like a 16-year mission. Get reacquainted. She probably went on sabbatical for a while.
She went right, got bumped to Vice Admiral, and ordered Jean-Luc to go to Romulus for Nemesis.
Oh yeah, I know that. But I mean, how long after Voyager got home? But don't forget that this was a different timeline.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a different timeline.
This wasn't. Yeah, in the prime timeline, at that point, Janeway wouldn't have gotten home yet. So
exactly.
They were still missing. So this is Janeway of the modified timeline.
Yeah, that directly links from Endgame. That timeline. But like the timeline that Admiral Janeway comes from in Endgame, I do believe that, especially with never being the same after Seven's death, and then losing Chakotay and all that. I mean, I do think that she probably would have gone on sabbatical, taken a bit of time for like bit of respite, and I mean by what the Doctor said to Barclay, she was going on some classified missions.
Right.
From what the Doctor had said to Barclay when he asked was it the director of Starfleet Command or whatever, and he said something to the effect of that she hasn't been on any classified missions since starting to teach at the academy. So obviously that, like, well, this is what I get from it anyway. Before she started teaching at the academy, she was going on some classified missions. But I do believe that when they got back after 16 years in the Delta Quadrant, I do believe that even Janeway would have taken a sabbatical.
The same possibility.
You know, I love that Reginald Barclay was in it. I mean, how great was that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love him. Both as an actor, of course. You know, I think everybody knows him from the A-Team. If you've ever seen the Cartoon Network show Chowder, about this little purple guy and his, I guess, father or stepdad or whatever he is Mung Dol, and Truffles is the mom, and they have this kitchen, and his best friend is an elephant named Gazpacho. Anyway, he voices Mung Dol in Chowder, and is one of the principal creators of the show, Chowder, which was a huge hit. I loved Chowder. It was hilarious. And
Never heard of it.
never saw it?
I've never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Yeah, look for you can type in Cartoon Network Chowder. And yeah, if you can watch some episodes on YouTube, the character of Mung Dal is Reginald Barkley. You would not know until you saw the credits, because the way he does his voice, he doesn't sound like Barkley at all. But he is the voice of Mung Dal. Just wonderful.
Now that you mention, I do remember hearing about that, him voicing a character on that cartoon. I maybe watched 2-3 episodes of it total.
Oh, I was a huge fan before I ever knew that was, Schultz. What's his first name?
Dwight.
Dwight Schultz is the voice of Mung Dal. I'm like, what? No. Went back and looked, and there's even some live footage of him, because in one of the cartoons, there's a gag about they ran out of money to do the cartoon, so they just show the voice actors in the studio doing the voice. And there's Dwight Schultz, doing Mung Dal. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
I'll say I'm gonna have to look that one up again. But back to the episode. Is saying I think the Doctor wins for the best one-liners. Is saying that the opening scene when we went to the present time is saying B'Elanna's just like, it's time, and Tom's like, well, time for what? It's like, yes.
And what does his name end up being? Joe or something like that?
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe.
26 years
it took him 50 freaking years to come up with Joe?
And of course he stole it off of his wife's father's name or something like that. But
it was Lana's grandfather's name.
Oh my God, you gotta coin a new term like hollow humping. How did they do it? Like that's
But no, it's saying that the Doctor was able to supposedly procreate when he in blink of an eye.
Well, it's not just that, but he's also able, because remember, what's the one where he's transmitted over the network and he ends up meeting the Mark II, Andy Dick. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Andy Dick, he was saying that he was able to have a Andy Dick. He goes, "How do you? You mean you're programmed for that? I'd like those subroutines. I'd like Andy Dick wants an Andy Dick. That's what
Andy Dick needs a dick."
I said Andy Dick so that there wouldn't be any YouTube trouble. But yeah, that's it was a hilarious episode. But it does. One, he never explains why that subroutine was added. Okay, so we've added the subroutine. Now you're anatomically, as Data might say, fully functional. Well, so what did he do with that functionality? I mean, was he, did he sit up at night watching hollow novels and itching himself?
Well, in that one episode, he created himself a family, didn't he? And maybe he wanted to have the full marital experience.
Oh my God! Again, this show is rated R. So
I'm sorry, I'm trying to be as diplomatic as possible here, but
I know.
He created himself a family on the holodeck. I mean, I can't watch that episode right to the end because it breaks my heart. But
not quite X yet,
yeah.
I believe anyway that, I mean, even though he created that family just sickeningly perfect, it was just really not good. I do believe that he could have possibly have wanted the full marital experience, and that is why he made himself anatomically correct.
So does that subroutine include, because we know he included sensation, like when he made himself sick, so he could learn
No,
bedside.
Tyson, no.
So he could experience what it was like to be sick. Well, assuming that same protocol exists, and he not only made himself anatomically correct, but able to sense the function. I'm struggling to try to say this in a way that won't.
I do believe that he made himself fully anatomically correct. Function
physically,
and all.
But was he emotionally and sensationally anatomically correct?
I do believe that. And now I do believe that. And I believe that he added the sense of sensation and everything just in general to himself, not just for the marital experience part. Because do you remember when we did last week's episode on Dark Frontier? He said that he was suffering a bit of motion sickness, so he had to adjust his matrix. So, you know, how can a hologram suffer from motion sickness? So I do believe that he initially added into his program, I mean, it'd probably have got Balana to do it, or Harry, but it had probably added more sensation to his matrix so that he could experience more of humanity. And then obviously he created that family, and that just added to the experience.
So with that, I do have a question. The Doctor could experience emotion, and we're assuming that he can experience pain and pleasure because there's been episodes that show that. Yet Data, a far more sophisticated life form, couldn't. I mean, if it was a simple matter of programming, you could program the Doctor to feel emotion, then it should be a much simpler process to have that program inside a machine like Data, right?
No. Now, believe it or not, I think I actually do kind of understand this process. Now, when you look at the Doctor and then when you look at Data, yes, that Data is much more sophisticated than the Doctor. However, because of the parameters of a hologram and the parameters of Data, he was designed in a very specific way. He was designed to never have emotion until this immersion chip. And even though, now I do believe that something went wrong. I don't like to say that word because it's not. In his programming, like in his initial programming before he got the emotion chip, because of Spot, you know, Spot rules, all hail the Pud, but mainly because of Spot and the close-knit family that they had aboard the Enterprise, I do believe that he started developing emotion. He admitted it himself on Picard when, you know, Spot helped him beat Law. But when it comes, so he was designed with very specific parameters, and he kind of explained a little bit of that to, I can't remember the kid's name in Insurrection. His function depends on specifications that do not change. And even though he has the ability to learn and evolve, that because of the parameters he has been designed with, he has a limit, which is here. Whereas the Doctor's program is more adaptable because of what he initially was. Now, and they're two different systems as well, holographics and, you know, like Android tech. But the Doctor expanded his program as he evolved. He went from just a standard EMH, and he had no choice but to adapt to running 24/7 basically. And because now, this is one thing I do like about Cass. She helped him evolve, and he naturally, because of his evolution and the environment he was in with people, how close they got, the way his program was designed was to constantly adapt, learn, evolve, and cope with new situations. And his program would have had to have been expanded for that. And so when he started adding little bits, it was just a continual evolution.
But I feel like those same parameters could be put on Data, though, right? Because Data was surrounded by people that loved and cared about him. Data was surrounded by experience. Data was programmed to evolve. Data was 24/7 in a real Starship situation. So he had all those same things going for him. He could also be hooked up to the computer. His programming could be altered. It had been in the past. So I don't know why a new program couldn't be introduced. And we saw also that in the episode Brothers, where Lore had a thing in his fingernail and could cause Data to have emotion, right? So if he could transmit something that would cause Data to have emotion, then certainly a program could be written with that same transmission code that would also give him, like, there's too many scenarios in which I feel like it could have happened.
Careful, Katie, you're going to shake your head off.
This is because Tyson is missing my point. Why is everybody doing that recently? My entire point is that, right, the only reason why Law was able to do that is because the emotion chip that Law had was designed by some. Eventually, Data was to have an emotion chip, but the way Data was designed was to prevent what happened with Law. So,
that's right. Okay, yeah. I finally coming around.
That emotion chip that allowed those connections to be made. That was the only way those connections should have been possible to be made.
So it wasn't a software issue; it was a hardware issue.
Yes, but over time, he did develop some kind of like android subconscious emotion sort of thing. Right. And Data himself admitted that in Picard. He gave a brief explanation on it, and hero spot. But yeah, that's the point I was making. He was specifically designed to prevent what happened with Law. So there was a certain shelf.
Right. But what you're saying, it was a hardware issue. It doesn't matter what kind of software you gave him. There was a physical barrier that prevented this from happening.
There were limits to Data. There wasn't with the Doctor in that sense.
So I'm wondering if in Next Gen, whatever that hardware issue was, if they couldn't have built a bridge, not necessarily an emotion chip, but a hardware that could allow the natural evolution of emotion to happen, that would bridge that hardware gap. It wouldn't be as sophisticated as an emotion chip that Sung designed just for him, but like any hardware, here's my camera won't pull it up, but here's a USB cable. Unless it's plugged in, it won't work. I mean, it's just a physical connection, right? So if they could have built a rudimentary physical connection, wouldn't have functioned as well, but would have allowed him to then accept new programming. Anyway, we're really getting into the weeds, and that's not where we want to
go. Going back to so before I do that, saying that all this talk just reminds me of I think it was Time's Arrow when they found Data's head in San Francisco. Riker said that, asked the question if it could have been Lore's head, but Data says, no, mine's a type something type L, Lore's is a type R, or vice versa. I just remember the L and the R.
And then what was before?
The act of being left-handed. But see, that comes with the hardware software issue.
Here's the thing. Prior to the movies, before was never mentioned. Data's mother never mentioned before.
Yes, she was.
She did mention that there were 4 prior to Data and Lore.
Well, she watched them all die, basically, I think was her. but B4 didn't die. He was clearly alive and working. The other thing is, it seems like B4 shared that commonality with Data, that B4 didn't seem to have emotion. Where if he really came before Lore, the reason the android didn't have emotion, Data, was because Lore had emotion and it went south. So before, there was no reason for before not to have emotion if he was before Lore. You know what?
With some wibbly wobbly. But
Mm.
going back to what I was talking about with the one-liners for the doctor, they're saying he comes to talk to him, say, "Well, I suggest you get to sick bay," and he just starts walking out the door in his bare feet and sleepwear, and he says, "What about Balana? Her too." It's the way her too. Just like it's just like so monotone, flat line.
Dry
And
humor
Yeah,
is
then,
I've
something.
actually got that written down.
oh, and then when they it was a false labor, and he's like, "We'll never get any sleep," and the doc's like, "You think it's bad now?"
Oh yeah, I've got those exact quotes written down on my notes.
By the way, Katie, there's one thing I have to commend England on, and that is English comedy, English humor, specifically that dry humor, that kind of deadpan. Yes, her too. Like that kind of humor is freaking hilarious. It's just and it's so well exemplified in Are You Being Served, and all these British comedies I watch that are just the deadpan, the it's funny because it was serious. You know what I mean? Like or nonchalant. The doctor's case, yes, her too. Like it wasn't like, oh my god, her too, like an American. You know, it was yes, her too. You know, the British are very stoic, and that lends to comedy as well too. I just, ooh, Benny Hill's one of my favorites. My mother loved Monty Python, John Cleese.
Oh,
I didn't
John
much care for
Cleese.
Monty Python, but that was my mom's thing. I love Benny Hill. Benny Hill did so many great skits that were deadpan, hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing that kind of sort of possibly little snipsy bit makes me proud to be British, but that's about it. Especially with what's
Best
going on
comedy in the world is British
right
comedy.
now. Yeah, comedy, and the fact that we're not as tightly wound as the rest of the world. Well, a lot of the world. No country is being mentioned specifically, but you know,
Well, in World War II, when we had black soldiers that came over to Britain, they were surprised how they were being treated. Keep in mind, the United States of America, circa 1942, 43, 44, we still had segregation. In the South, black people couldn't eat at the same restaurants as white people. They couldn't, mingle with society in the same ways. There were even different drinking fountains. God forbid a white person should drink out of a fountain that a black person did. So during World War II, when those soldiers came over to Britain, they were treated as equals. It was.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but I just need to know this. Here, over in Britain, when it was World War II, it wasn't just different races that were treated equal, but the women across here, they were known as the land girls, a lot of them. And they were just as highly regarded, if not more so, than the men that were going out to fight, because the women were farming the land. The women were making the ammunition. They were making so much. And I don't know if that happened across in America as well as here. But the women across here in World War II, they took on so much. I mean, that the men were going out to war, and they basically they became mechanics, engineers, farmers, munitions experts. You know,
The women here too did exactly the same thing. They did the farming. You should see a movie called A League of Their Own. Beautiful movie about women who, because baseball is a huge pastime here in America, and with all the men off to war,
yeah,
the women played baseball to entertain. That's a beautiful movie. But yeah, it was the same thing. My grandmother was a Rosie the Riveter. She worked at Teledyne Ryan building aircraft, riveting. I mean, that wasn't considered a woman's job pre-World War II. So that we have in common, but there is something that the British women and men, I think even more fortitude, was the fact that in your country and in your cities, they were actively being attacked and bombed and the cities were on fire, where here in the US, that wasn't happening. Nobody was, Hawaii got, December 7th, 1941, when Pearl Harbor got attacked. But mainland US never saw a single bullet, never saw a single bomb.
Oh, we did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So your people had to deal with that while they were actively under attack. Our people, could farm and could build aircraft, and nobody were bombing our cities while that was happening. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because you with you lot not getting attacked the way we did. I mean, we had air raid shelters.
Right.
We had the sirens, which were called moaning minis, and they were, that they were loud. After dark, people couldn't go out, and they had to black out their windows after dark, so that there was no light coming from them. And if anybody needed to travel outside after dark, they had to go out with torches facing down so that any enemy aircraft couldn't see.
Yeah,
Because if they saw any light, especially groupings that could have looked like a village or a city, where they were,
it would give them something to bomb. It would be a target. Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. But
that's
anyway,
what I mean by fortitude is we were both, our populations were doing the same thing, but your population was doing it while actively under attack. I mean, how hard is it to farm when bombs are falling? How hard is it to build aircraft when, those facilities were being targeted? In the U.S., we didn't have that. So that's why I'm saying, big hats off to the British, for what they were able to endure and still overcome. Glad the U.S. could contribute.
Thank you.
But we didn't have it nearly as hard.
No. But anyway, back to the episode.
I forgot to mention earlier, because last week's episode we talked about Susanna Thompson taking over the role from Alex Krieg because she wasn't available. And see, for Endgame, Susanna Thompson wasn't available, so that's one of the reasons they brought Alex Krieg back, because she was available.
And just a quick note to Legacy Zach. He said Kitty just wanted love and food. No, Kitty wanted blood. Kitty was out for blood. All right.
She's a vampire pug.
She was out for blood.
That's why I love her. But no, I love Alice as the Borg Queen. Although when she contacted Seven, she was like, it was a very hot moment. It really was. It was almost a sensual experience watching it. But the way she portrays the Borg Queen is very flirty and very sexualized in a way.
Oh yeah.
In First Contact and in Endgame, and I do like that. I don't know why, because usually I don't like that that sort of thing when it's not necessary. But the way she does it is very appropriate for her. And
right.
like the just the way that she was with Seven was just like, wow. You know, I mean,
wasn't there sexual tension there, or is it just me? Like it was
Oh,
there
there-
with Data, it was there with Seven, it was there with. I mean, she asked Data, "How familiar are you with physical forms of pleasure?" Okay, but with
exactly.
7 and 9, the way she touched her and the way she looked at her, I felt like there was some sexual tension there too. Or am I just making that up?
No, but this is the point I'm making. This is how Alice portrays the Bold Queen, and I love that because it seems to come so naturally to her, and it doesn't seem forced when you're watching it neither, and it doesn't seem unnecessary. It's almost like she tries to seduce her enemy and use her feminine wiles, you know, and
I'll be right back.
It's right for her. And I love it. But you know, when I remember when I first saw Endgame, I was about what 14, 15, and yeah, I think I was about 15 when I first saw Endgame, and yeah, because all 7 seasons of Voyager was out by the time I watched, but by the time I even started watching Voyager, but I remember sitting there and seeing that, and I'm just like, I was the same when I was when I was 13 when I first saw First Contact. I was like, wow, that Bold Queen's really horny, yeah. And I'm just sat there thinking I'm a teenager, and even I'm not that horny, you know. It's just like, was it? But it was right for her character and how she was, and it kind of sort of made sense why she would want Locutus, you know, as more of an equal to
Oh,
help
I
her
forgot
run.
how horny she was for Locutus. Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah, you know, what was said between her and Picard in First Contact, it she did want a counterpart. She wanted a partner. And she wanted that in Data as well. You know, he was a very unique. Well, he is a
Well,
very
now,
unique.
did she want a partner in Data, or did she want Data's codes?
She wanted both. I think she wanted both. He was a very.
Look at this.
Data is a very unique individual. The Calipod.
How? She is
God.
literally look. She is literally killing me. Look at this. Her nails are in my skin, and she's biting the fuck out. Look, she's biting the fuck out of me.
Give us some catnip. Chill out.
Listen to that. Ow. This
Oh, that's probably the last thing that cat needs right now.
that cat, dude. I gotta get Chris to hook you up with some catnip, so that you can chill the fuck out. She just killing me. Did you see that? I got you on camera.
But no, I really do like the way that Alice portrays Her Majesty. You know, it's just it's so right for her, and I absolutely love how she is with them. Although Susanna, when it was, I think it what was it in Unimatrix Zero, when she called through to Voyager and Harry answered the call. When Janeway walked onto the bridge, the way that the Queen was looking at Harry, and then when she looked at him and says, "We'll see you soon, Harry." She had a bit of a flirt going on with Harry Wang.
Yeah.
Yeah. But but she did have that little bit of flirtiness to her, but Alice does it a lot more. But I love that they were able to get Alice back for Endgame, because I mean, she's always going to be. I love Susanna, I do, but she's always going to be my favorite because she was the actor who played the Bow Queen in First Contact.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's almost 7:30. I got to get ready for my radio net, but thank you guys so much. I'm loving Technically Trek. I think this is going to be a hit show. There's too many Star Trek fans out there. We just got to advertise this, let people know we're here. Technically Trek, because we mostly speak Trek, but technically we go off topic sometimes. And sometimes we talk about technically of Trek, right?
Yeah, I think yeah, because we're pretty much staying on the Trek topic. We're just not sticking to the topic of the episode. But
so
before you run
Trek.
off, so I want to run it by you and Katie too, because I kind of already mentioned it. I'm thinking about moving the show to Wednesday. I don't know what you're doing on Wednesdays.
It depends, because Wednesday at 6:45, I would have to be done, because we have a 7 o'clock net, and I have to prepare at least 15 minutes. And it depends if I'm net control or if I'm just participating, then I'm just picking up the mic and I'm talking.
Okay.
If I'm net control, then I'm actually running the net. I don't know how much leeway my camera has here, but you can kind of see the radios here.
Oh yeah, we've seen them on the on the main show on Sundays, but
yeah, I use it. Actually, if I can point the computer, that camera right there is the one you see me on the main show, and these are the 3 screens that I have going, and my ring light. So this is the main show setup right here. This is the setup I have going on. Right next to the main setup, I have a whole nother computer right here, and then I have my radios. And I use this computer, the one I'm on right now with you guys, when I'm doing radio nets, because K6TME, I'll be doing my thing, and I'll be typing into the computer here the people that are checking in. Welcome to the San Diego Ham Forum. My name is Tyson, K6TME. We're blah 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 blah, and I've got a whole script I read. Anyway. So Wednesdays I can, but I have to drop at 6:45. Now, if you went to Wednesday and bumped it up to 5, that would be fine.
Well, yeah, I was thinking like 5:30, because in that way that'll be even earlier for our East Coast peoples. Is like that we might even be able to get Travis to pop in.
And maybe even a little earlier for our, I don't know, England folks.
That too.
Well, yeah, because if you put it back an hour, that'd be like 1 a.m. for me rather than 2 a.m. But either way, I'm available because no sleep person here. So
Yeah, but to answer your question, Zach, I was thinking, do we want to continue the Borg conversation? Because I got a really good Borg episode to throw out there. The Next Generation's iBorg.
Right. Zach said 8 p.m. sounds better, and I'm thinking his time, 5 p.m. my time, 6 p.m. Dave your time, 8 p.m. Zach's time. Yeah, I'm done with that. Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Because then that way we only have to take a 1 week hiatus when I go to my reunion next month, or in 6 weeks.
Works for me. We're getting closer to the 7:30 hour, and I do have a net, so I gotta go. Bye, guys.
All right, talk to you later.
So is that set then for like from next week, Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific?
Well, it sounds, yeah, Zach likes it.
Yeah, I think it might be better for Marla as well, with it not being so late.
What say she? But
Yeah, is Iborg the one with Hugh?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go for that.
Yeah, because I kind of goes a little deep, and it's only a 45-minute episode instead of a 90-minute episode to talk about because there's still notes.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that if we carry on with the Borg theme, at some point we have got to do Child's Play and Perfection.
Say that
They are
again.
very. If we're staying on like the Borg-ish theme, I do think that we need well, I said Child's Play and Perfection, but I do think that we should go through all of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
say,
I
but
really
now,
want to do Unimatrix Zero, and oh no, that is Unimatrix Zero. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing Unimatrix Zero because that is an absolutely brilliant episode.
hmm.
You know, so I mean, maybe next week have a break from Voyager, do Iborg, and then maybe the week after we could do Unimatrix Zero.
That's a good idea, I think. So let me write that down so I don't forget. Where did my pen go?
But while you're writing that down, I just want to pose a question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, two questions actually, and it is about this episode. First of all, am I right in thinking that the armor technology does not work while cloaked? Because Admiral Janeway's shuttle was cloaked
Oh
right next
yeah.
to the complex, and you know, it can the armor not be deployed when the ship?
I don't think they touched base on that. So I'd probably just like the shields for the Klingons in
Yeah, that's
armor.
what I was
You can't
thinking.
do regular shields when they're cloaked, so the armor would probably be the same concept.
I'm still on the fence about that one. But my second question is, and I'm sure I've posed this question before. I don't know if it was on last week's show or if I decided against it. But the transwarp hub. Why didn't Seven know it was there? She knew that there's 6 in the galaxy. Why doesn't, does she not have, surely she should have known, like, as soon as she saw it, she should have been like, yeah, I know what this is. But she had to do and the scans that she did as well, even if every single Borg drone didn't know the exact locations of the transwarp hubs, surely they would have done because cubes and spheres were being deployed from
all over
from these hubs, and yeah,
and Seven was part of Unimatrix 01, so yeah, I'd say she should have known.
Exactly, and this is what my question was. I was just going to bring up that she basically worked alongside the Queen, and she had no idea. I mean, from the scans that she did, she should have known what it was, and it shouldn't have taken her so long to know. It's always bothered me that. I know that within the collective information is compartmentalized and a drone only needs to know what they need to know. They don't need to know what other drones are doing on other ships and things like that, but they would have some form of, because they are a collective and they think as one, you know, that compartmentalized or not, they would have had some even subconscious knowing of things. But yeah, that's just something that's always bugged me, that she didn't know. So yeah, they're just some little, I don't know what else I've got in my notes, but they're just some little things that I've got written down. But yeah, I really didn't take many notes for this episode because I know it so well. I mean, when it comes to Trek, I'm like a proper Voyager geek.
Mm.
Yeah, is there anything else to the episode you want to discuss?
Well, I just made some just small notes of Tuvok's. I wrote down typical Vulcan arrogance, just it's manageable. I don't need to bother the crew about it. Yeah. But yeah, some of the talk about the big old speech in the in the conference room. So it's about the journey, not the destination. Which I actually have a bracelet that goes along with that. Life is a journey, not a destination.
I like that.
But I forgot to write down who was it. Chataway that ended up doing the music for the finale.
I don't know.
I'm checking right now.
I don't really look at things like that because I'm, as much as music is life for me, and I do really like the orchestral music that is used for Trek. It's not my kind of thing, so I don't actively seek it out. So I don't really notice when it comes, like, who does the compositions and all that lot. I can comment on whether I liked it.
It looks like my camera's got a bit of a delay going. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Yeah, my camera's just being really, really slow all of a sudden. Maybe this will. Oh, that's why, because my tab was back over on YouTube. That's why there was. Do you see? No, I don't. I just had the wrong tab open. But no, it was Chataway that did the score for the finale, because for me at least, when it comes best of both worlds, Ron Jones, that when God, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. Just that crescendo when Riker say, "Mr. Worf, fire!" Bump, 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 and it just, yeah. It's just talking about it gives me chills. I mean, that's how impactful music can be for me, at least. But yeah, Chataway was on point with the music on this episode.
Can set the scene, and I do appreciate the music in Trek.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my thing, so I don't actively go seek it out.
Yeah, I'd say, but the point in the episode where I wrote that was when they first went into the nebula and nearly just went right with the Borg cube. Like, Janeway is uncharacteristically shocked. She just screams, "Stop!" Just like, what? Like, look out.
I liked that scene.
But then when Voyager leaves the nebula, the board kind of notice, and they're saying, "We're going to pursue," and the Queen's like, "No, leave him alone for now."
Hmm.
Oh, you're more important than that, Mala.
What would
Oh,
who would Mala be?
yeah, with all the rules that Chris keeps on breaking, he'd probably be in a forever ensign like Mariner.
Yeah. Oh, like Harry.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I
but
think that Mala would be our chief engineer.
yeah, just backtracking a little bit when Janeway first appears in the present time and saying, "Dang it," the Queen's like essentially just eavesdropping on the conversation, and she's like, "I'm here to take your crew home," and all the Borg drones are just all staring at the Queen, and then she's just kind of like staring um incredulous I can't say that word, incredulously.
Yeah.
I forgot to plug my laptop back in when I brought it upstairs, and I was almost out of power. So yeah, it's a good thing that the screen went
I'm
dark.
really glad you noticed.
Me too, because it is down to 19%. So I mean, I still had a little bit left, but wait. Oh, Zach.
Oh, for
Zing.
goodness sake. Now that Chris and Tyson have gone, ladies and gentlemen, Zach is now lowering the tone.
Yeah,
And that is why we love the DT family so much. There's always
yeah,
one to take over.
but yeah. Chris. I mean, he was on his cell phone in his car, so he hasn't gotten a laptop just yet. So I'm thinking he might benefit from the 5 o'clock time too. Maybe, I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, we'll definitely give that a try for next week and see what happens.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah,
I mean, I don't mind either way.
what's that?
I don't mind either way. I'm available early
Mm.
hours of the morning.
No, it'll be 7 for him, Mala, because it'll be 6 o'clock for me, 5 o'clock for Tyson in the West Coast. But like the dueling Janeways is especially the way Admiral Janeway just like, I figured you'd try to do something stupid when she's like trying to think of another plan that's like saying, "You may be me, but I'm my own person. I'm going to do it my way."
Well, yeah, and this is what I was saying earlier. I completely understand that, and it does come down to your own inner monologue. But
Mhm.
Janeway has these exact arguments within her own head, and the fact that this woman from the future who is her has come back to take Voyager home, but not given any explanation or anything. No, all right, yeah. I understand it from both points of view, from the captains and from the admirals, you know. But if Admiral Janeway had have sat down with the captain and spoken to her, then maybe things would have turned out a little bit differently. Maybe they could have come up with a plan to have their cake and eat it, you know, beforehand. But the arguments that they were having. You see, as well, Captain Janeway was having another argument with herself. Sorry, Captain Janeway, Zach.
Yeah, I'm saying so. Even though the admiral did make the ultimate sacrifice to save the crew, like Captain Janeway definitely gets the
But no,
bonus.
she'd have been having the temporal argument with herself as well, because she's like, the captain's already dealt with the like time travel. Go get cake, Marla. Eat cake. Have at it, love. But she'd have been wanting to know about the future and exactly why the admiral was wanting to change it, because it is like the admiral said, you know, you're wondering why I'd want to mess up such a rosy future.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yes, cake, have at it, Marla. Eat lots. Eat some for me as well, darling. But
And me.
there's only
eat a whole sinking cake for us.
There's the captain said that she didn't want to know anymore, and because she didn't want to know anymore, there were certain things that couldn't be said. And that had been frustrating for her. Every single time she had a conversation with the admiral, she'd have wanted to know, you know, but she'd have been arguing with herself, no, temporal prime directive. So those arguments were very valid, in my opinion. And I'm sorry, but if my future self from in like 20 years' time came back to give me warnings to try and change my future, I have the same kind of arguments, you know. I'd just be like, whoa, fair enough, you want to change this. However, if we're going to do this, we do it my way. Just because you're 20 years older than me doesn't mean to say you still know what's best for me right now. And just the fact of them coming back from the future has already changed things.
Mm-hmm.
And who is to know that if, like, I don't know, if like, what, how old am I now? 37. If, like, 47-year-old me, even, you know, or 57-year-old me came from the future to give me a warning that this and this is going to happen in 15 years' time, I would still question it as to why she would want to change it. And I'd be having arguments with myself of, yeah, I want to know, but should I really know? And who is to say as well that if I make this decision instead of that decision, my future would work out better. So I do understand about the type of arguments that Janeway was having, essentially with herself. And I thought it was very entertaining as well.
That is true, Mala. See, I've seen some YouTube videos of them squeezing through like impossible doors. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. But no, I liked Janeway arguing with herself, and it was very valid. Just because an older you comes from the future, and for anybody watching, if an older version of yourself comes from the future to give you warnings, don't just take their word for it. Always question it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because one, you don't know it's really them. Two, they might have something seriously gone cuckoo, and you don't know if making a different decision would change things for the better. Just like if you know, you wanted to go into the past and change something, that one change could be catastrophic. It could be the best thing you've ever done, but it could also be catastrophic as well. So this is why I don't screw with time. Not that, you know, I can, because it's not possible as yet, but just something for people to think about. Have you frozen, Dave?
No, I'm looking at a couple of things right now.
But no, I also like the scene when Balana finally goes into labor.
Mm-hmm.
I really do like
that's one of the things I noted. And she's screaming in pain, and the doctor says, Klingons can be in labor for several days, and she's just like, get this thing out of me!
Yeah, I actually
And
love
he's like, yeah, I don't think it's going to take that long.
Yeah, I really do like that scene. And the way she is with Tom as well. He's just like, oh, the baby's finally coming, and he runs in, but then like Janeway calls him, and
Sorry,
he
got
really wants to
here.
be there for the birth, and she's just like, no, Voyager needs its best pilot at the helm, get gone. she even though it was one of like the most important things in their life, they still put their duty first, and I loved that. But you know, Tom also knew that she was perfectly safe in the doctor's hands, and then when the doctor finally made that call, sick bay to the bridge, and you just heard the little baby gurgling over the comm system, oh, that melted my heart. It really did.
And Harry was about to cry.
Yeah, and then, you know, the doctor made a personal call to Paris. Like, there's somebody here who wants to meet you, and I'm just like, oh.
There's someone here that wants to say hello.
Yeah,
But, I mean, honestly,
like, oh my God.
That would have been a good scene to have had Icheb on the bridge. The scene, I think another scene with Icheb would be in Astrometrics when Seven's like wrestling with what Chakotay has said, wrestling with her earlier conversation with the doctor about helping her deal with those emotions, because of course, like, Icheb lost his cortical node to save Seven, so he can speak to her from experience.
True, but there again, Icheb was always more emotional than Seven. It was almost like he was a little bit more emotionally mature than Seven in a way, because even though, like, technically he was a lot younger than Seven, she was very Vulcan in a way, because of her lack of emotion, a lack of emotions, and in that sense, she was, in a way, she wasn't very emotionally mature because she hadn't had chance to experience emotion. She didn't, because of how young she was when she was assimilated, she didn't remember experiencing all that emotion. Yeah, she experienced fear and things like that, but she didn't remember growing up because she grew up with the Borg. She was raised by Borg. And I mean, even though Icheb didn't remember his life, more came back to him in Child's Play. Even though that wasn't really discussed much. But he had a lot more emotion than she did. And I think that's what caused all the problems in the episode Perfection.
Distinct possibility.
Yeah, because, you know, in a way she was being driven by emotion, but not in the right way. Whereas Icheb was he was emotionally driven to try and help her, whereas she was emotionally driven to be closed off and deal with it herself, which is very unhealthy, people. And it's not until, you know, his life is on the line that, you know, some twigs within her, and she allows help. But yeah, I think he could have been a lot of help to her in those moments, and I'm sorry, eyelash. And I'm even more gutted that Icheb didn't have more of a role in that, because it'd have also been nice to, you know, see what his reaction would have been to, like, facing off with the Queen. You know, I mean, he wasn't in Unimatrix Zero neither, and I would have very much liked to have seen how that would have turned out.
Had a couple eyelashes going, huh?
Oh, I don't know if I've got one actually in my eye or if I've got a sty coming up.
Hmm.
Probably a sty, in all honesty, because I suffer them a lot. But yeah, I do apologise.
That's all good. But now, have you been checking your DMs to make sure no one's been asking for the link to join the chat?
No. I've checked my Twitter and Zilch, and I've got it open for people to DM me.
Okay, so I mean we're starting to wind down. So if anybody else wants to join in, we got got 2 dozen here on StreamYard. We got a couple on YouTube. We know we got Zach Amala over there. I think that's 2 of the 4 that's on YouTube right now. And then again, I think I make 3, so we just got one other person on YouTube right now. Stupid allergies.
But no, and just so everybody knows, you don't have to have your camera turned on. You can do it through your phone. If you only want audio, have at it. But by all means, we welcome people on this show. Especially when I start ranting about stuff, because I would love for people to come on and argue the toss with me. I really would, my bloody eyes. You know, crazy British woman rambling faces off with a load of probably Americans at this time. You know, so that'd be quite interesting, especially because I was late to the Trek world. But I do tend to get very passionate about all things Trek, unless it's TOS. Well, I'm still passionate about TOS.
One of these days, I'm going to be picking a TOS episode just for you.
And that is the week you will find a new co-host, my darling. No, I'll ask Marla to take over from me that week, and I'll just be in the live chat on YouTube, just shitting on it. I'm sorry, I can't. I didn't have to. Well, I did. I had to watch The Cage, and
yeah, I remember.
Oh my god, that was one of the worst moments of my entire life, and I was just like, you know, oh my god, this is tedious. I mean, it was a lot better because Kirk wasn't in it, so yay. But that's the only good thing about the episode, to be quite. The premise was good. Premise was good. It was done all wrong. And I mean all wrong.
Too cerebral.
It wasn't
That's
that it
what
was too
NBC called it.
cerebral. It was just done all wrong. I can't put it any other way. It was boring. It was tedious. They didn't make it interesting, and the premise was brilliant, but they destroyed it. And that is like what an hour of my life I will never get back. And I wish I could just wipe from my mind. I need one of those Men in Black flashy things just to make me forget that. But no, I do appreciate it. I really do, but I hate it. I hate watching it. It's boring as anything.
Yeah, but I think we're going to call it good for tonight then, unless there's any additional thoughts other than yeah, other than the fact that I really wish that they would have done like some sort of montage like they did with DS9 when the crew reunites, reconnects, even if just like a montage of like Harry and his parents finally embracing again, and like
Yeah, I would have liked
Talana
that.
introducing Admiral Paris to his granddaughter, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would have liked like a post-credit scene with that. That would have been so nice to do. But I'm gutted that they didn't, because that would have been so lovely, especially to see Harry reunited with his parents. As much as I have issues with Harry, that is one thing that I've always wanted for him, is to be reunited with his parents, because
And Libby.
he was. Pardon?
And Libby, his girlfriend.
Well, yeah, there's also that as well.
Yeah, Beta Canon had her end up joining Starfleet Intelligence.
I didn't know. But you see, I don't know Beta Canon at all, because I don't read it. I just follow canon. But
yeah, it's like all those books on the second shelf. No, those are my DVDs. I'd say it's the third shelf. I got comic books, a couple of hardbacks, and then just a small percentage of my book collection. I still can't.
I have got one Star Trek book, and that is a graphic novel that I got out of a mystery box.
Yeah.
And it's still wrapped in the plastic wrapping. I haven't opened it at all, and it's never going to get opened.
Yeah.
Don't read them. I just don't read them. I own 3 comic books. One of them is a Teen Titans one is a Superman one. I haven't read either of them. I got those to be signed for autographs purely. And then I've got Bad Dream by Nicole Maines, and I still haven't read that. And I won't be reading that until probably when I'm on my way to Amalgam, which is the convention I'll be going to, eventually when it's rescheduled. But they're the only comic books that I own. And I would only ever, I mean, don't get me wrong, I am going to read Bad Dream because it sounds amazing. But I don't really do comic books. I don't really do graphic novels. I've got the Heartstopper books. I've watched the series on Netflix. But if I'd have known when I bought them that they were graphic novels, like comic book style, I wouldn't have got them, because they're never going to get read. Not unless an actual proper novel is written of them. I will never read the Heartstopper books, which is quite upsetting, really. But I don't really read sci-fi. I read sci-fi if it's like sci-fi fantasy, but pure sci-fi, for some reason I don't like reading. I tried reading one Star Trek book once, and I couldn't get into it. I was the same with the Buffy the Vampire Slayer books, though, and I think it's because they're so very different to canon. A different premise, and things like that. So I think that's why I'd never be able to get into them. But I just read regular books. But
But
no, if
yeah,
any of the canon books were to be made canon and made into TV shows, I would watch them. But I'd just get confused. Because honestly, I would. I am that ditzy, and especially because of my insomnia and everything, I would probably like if I could get into the Star Trek books and I was to read them, I would argue the toss with people, and I'd just be like, "No, this happened. I read it," and then I'd be reminded by some random person that it's only beta canon, and I'd be like, "Oh crap,"
yeah.
and
That's
I'd probably get so confused.
yeah, but I mean they're starting now to like specifically the Star Trek Picard novels. Those are considered canon to the Picard timeline. And saying that I got two copies of Firewall, which specifically centers around Seven and those years following coming back from the Delta Quadrant, then kind of leads up to when she became a Fenris Ranger. So it's like pre-season one of Picard.
Hmm.
See, I've
I
done
like
the audiobooks for all the other ones, but this is the first physical novel that I've gotten because I got it autographed by David Mack, the author. I haven't had a chance to like sit down and read it, which I really should, and I might pack it with me to my reunion and read it there. And same, but also read that other book that I picked up earlier this month. Get some reading
it.
material, just chill and relax.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned audiobooks. I don't get on with audiobooks. The only time that I do is if I'm listening while I'm reading.
Hmm.
That's the only time I get on with audiobooks. And the only time I do that is if when I'm on a deadline to get a book read, then I can listen and read at the same time. I can get through it faster. And it goes in better with me seeing the written word and hearing it as well. But the only other time I do it is if I'm having a lot of problems with like if I really want to read, but I'm having a lot of problems focusing.
Hmm. But yeah, see, I was really getting into the audiobooks because that's when I was during COVID, I was driving throughout Eastern Washington. So I'm like behind the wheel 12, 14 hours. I can get through an entire book almost on that one trip.
Yeah,
And like
I mean,
those,
I listen to music when I'm out and about. I can't get along. Like I said, I can't get along with audiobooks unless I'm reading at the same time. So when I'm out and about, I always just listen to music and sometimes sing along to the music out loud as well, which
yeah.
really annoys people depending on what songs I'm singing. There's a lot of curse words in them, or sexual innuendo, or things like that. It tends to annoy people when I accidentally sing out loud.
Well, here probably like tomorrow or the next day, I will create a graphic for iBorg. I'll have to find a really good still image to really like hit it home, so to speak. With our, and we're going to try it Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, so 8 Eastern. So we'll give that a shot and see if that might get a few more people to actually join us live. So we're not just back and forth. But at least we had Chris come in. We had Zach as joining on the chat. So thank you, Zach. Mala, as always, thank you. And I think she's saying next week she'll actually be able to go on camera with us too. So double yay.
Yes. Although I have noticed that viewership goes up from round about what 7 p.m. Pacific.
Well, it's at 8 Pacific right now. So, but yeah, let's say we'll give it a try. It's say this is still new for me, but I'm enjoying it so far. So
Oh, I'm loving
keep
it.
the ball going.
I
And but I guess the big question is I want to get more input with more participants if we want to start talking about Prodigy because they're going to dump all 20 episodes at once on Netflix. I'm not going to do all 20 at the same time. I'm thinking like two at a time. Like do a review or even one at a time because that's like 20 weeks right there. But that seems
Does
a
this
lot.
mean are they dropping all of Prodigy as in season 1 and season 2 on Netflix?
Well, season 1's been on Netflix for a while. Season 2 drops all 20 episodes on the first of the month.
I'll have to have a look on mine because I've not seen it on mine.
Well, it's like here in the U.S. at least. Hopefully, it'll be doing it globally.
Well, it's supposed to be globally. Oh no, just a minute. 1st of July rings a bell. I'm sure I saw a post that it was going global, which included the UK. Was it the 1st of
Sorry,
July?
it's starting to run. Yeah, that would be nice, Zach. But yeah, that's not the model that Netflix runs by. So they're going to drop all 20 at once.
See, that'd be fine for me because I will admit I'm not keen on Prodigy. I saw the first, I don't know if it was 5.5 or 6.5 episodes of season 1, and I wasn't keen. It was kind of like a season 1 discovery moment, but for the purposes of the show, I would be willing to watch it. But I just binge watch the full lot of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want, I mean, you can like binge all of season 1, but like the 2-part season finale of Prodigy, I mean, it definitely really hits home, and it could be that reason that it wasn't Worf's fault about the Enterprise E.
Yeah. Now, like I said, I mean, so is there 10 episodes in each season then?
No, Prodigy, there's 20.
20 in each season.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I didn't even get halfway through season 1 then.
No.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. But yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, actually, no, oh yes, when Raw comes to Netflix, I'll
Yeah,
be
say Raw. Yeah, Raw's a weekly thing, so I mean and a live thing, so yeah, it's definitely just gonna be one episode at a time because it's shot right then and there. So
yeah. On saying that, I don't think actually I will binge all of it because if I end up not being too keen on it, I'll just watch whatever episodes I need watching before the show.
but like
'Cause then
still
I'll
imagery of like Chakotay's gonna be in there, the Doctor's gonna be in there, so there's be a lot of Voyager drops, and of course the Voyager A, Admiral Janeway, of course.
Yeah, apparently, Chakotay gets killed off in season 2.
Hopefully not.
No, that is what apparently. Now I don't know how true it is, but from what I heard, something was leaked by Robert Beltran himself, and from what he said, it wasn't an actual leak, but it was like something that he said made it sound that Chakotay was getting killed off and that it was his choice to do it.
That's one big whopping spoiler if that's the case.
No, he didn't spoil anything as such, but somebody had asked him a question, and the way he answered it made everybody believe that he had made the decision that Chakotay was getting killed off. Now, whether everybody took it the wrong way or he said it to throw people off, I don't know. But that is what I heard. Now, for me, I really don't care either way because Chakotay is kind of like subpar for me anyway, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. But like I said, so that's it for now. We'll see you guys all again at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 Eastern on Wednesday next week. So Alien Frequencies closed.
Doodle.